Internet crime is not about ripping one person off for $1 million. It's about ripping 1 million people off for $1.
Welcome, everyone, to the Kivu Consulting True Cybercrime Podcast.
My name is Keith Swanson. I'm the Director of Incident Response for Kivu Consulting. I'm a retired detective from the Scottsdale Police Department with over 22 years of service in Scottsdale and 4 years of service with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Department.
Each week, Kivu investigators expose real-life cases and stories from the front line of cybercrime. Today's episode, Part 3 of Fraud and Catfishing in the Age of eBay. At the end of Episode 2, Eric Weinstein had evaded capture once again, but this time he left behind valuable evidence, 20 terabytes of digital data revealing his fraudulent transactions on eBay. We pick up the story where Detective Swanson begins his forensic examination of Eric's computer hard drive.
So I'm in the lab pulling evidence, and we're seeing multiple eBay accounts. We're seeing just thousands upon thousands of listings. His internet history is just ripe with all this information. And I find a couple pieces of software. And these pieces of software were interesting because they were automatic eBay listing tools. One of the things about internet crime that people don't understand is they always say, well, why are they coming after me? I don't have any money. Well, internet crime is not about ripping off Bill Gates for $25 million. Internet crime is about ripping off the little guy for $1. It's about numbers. If I can rip off 1 million people for $1, most people are going to go, it's $1. It's not worth my time calling the police, right? That's the scam. The Nigerians have been doing this stuff, oh my God, since back in the day. They would send letters. Hey, I'm a Nigerian prince and I've got all this money for you. They would send hundreds of thousands of letters. Well, now these Nigerian princes are sending millions of emails a day. They rake in millions upon millions of dollars. And that's the way that the online auction scams work. Everything that Eric is listing is, $6, $5, $2. Maybe the most expensive thing we're seeing in the evidence is $15. And it's, baseball cards, it's posters, it's pictures. It's just little stuff that if you get ripped off for, you're like, oh, hey, lesson learned. I'm only out $10, big deal. When the FBI or any of the big, federal agencies, they start looking at internet crime, you look for patterns. And that is where you find the bad guy. And Eric's pattern was very simple. He would always be listing, certain things, and it was always for certain prices. Well, the one thing he screwed up on was he was sending all this saying he was not allowed to take PayPal anymore because they were onto it. But he was having checks sent to this post office box. So I go back to the post office store to talk to this kid that we had talked to before. And we start talking to him a little bit. I find out he's a heroin addict. So he's a junkie. And typically the rule is junkies are fairly honest with us. So I go back to talk to this kid, and he finally gives it up that he let Eric know that we were coming. So I hook him up, for interference with the investigations. So now we know why Eric took off. He knew we were on the way. He knew it was coming, and he was moving his stuff out of there because this kid told him. So this, I didn't feel too bad hooking him up. He had it coming. He knew better than that. So we're still cranking away the evidence. We still keep everything going. And one of the things about Eric is he is a workout-aholic. He loves working out. We find all kinds of evidence that he goes to, the gym on 2 or 3 times a day. I'm seeing all kinds of internet history where he's doing research on bodybuilding and working out and all this other good stuff. So I let all of our patrol officers know. I said, hey, listen, this guy, he's going to hit a gym. He can't go without working out. That's the one thing that this guy doesn't want to do. He has to work out. So I put that word out to our patrol guys. We're still cranking away on the evidence. This is tons and tons and tons of evidence to go through. And it's very manual searching. It's very manual, search terms. You put in your search terms, you let it cook for a while, and it searches across all this massive volume of evidence, and it comes back. So the case is coming together well. We've got more than enough to charge him. And I get a call from one of our patrol officers. He says, hey, I think I found your Eric Weinstein. And I said, really? He says, yeah, there's a gym up in North Scottsdale on Thunderbird and Frank Lloyd Wright. He goes, I'm pretty sure it's him. And I said, all right. So we send the undercovers up there just to keep an eye on this place. And they call me back and say, yeah, it's him. He's using this gym on a daily basis. He comes in every morning at 9 o'clock. And I'm like, all right, now we're good to go. We can go after this guy. We're going to set back up on him. And the whole time that we were working on this, we could not trace Eric on the internet anywhere. And I found out that he was using a service called anonymizer.com. And this was a early version of the VPN where you would log into anonymizer.com and they would then allow you to go anywhere on the internet, and it would hide your internet protocol address, basically your phone number for the internet. So I had paperwork out to them to track down where Eric was getting on the internet because I knew he was back at his scams. We go sit up in the gym, and my boss says, hey, I'll go in and pretend like I'm working out. And once I see him, I'll give you guys a signal and you guys can come in and get him. And I said, all right. So my boss goes in, and he's in the locker room, and literally Eric's right next to him. So my boss is tying his shoes, and I said, just let me know where he's at after he gets out of the locker room, and we'll take him down on there. So Eric goes and he gets on the treadmill to do a little cardio, and my boss goes and gets on the treadmill right next to him. And, you bring your phone to the treadmill, and you got your earphones in and stuff. And Mike sends me a text message and says, hey, it's him. Let's make a move. Come and get him. And I said, all right. So in we come. You got to remember, we've got all of our tactical gear on, the police vests and all this stuff. And we come in, guns drawn, and we take Eric down, and we take him and hook him up on right there by the treadmill, and we haul him off. And I'm not expecting Eric to talk to me. He's not a dumb criminal. He understands what's going on. He gets it. So I'm not expecting him to talk to me. Well, we were working with the Secret Service on this, and the Secret Service agent that was assigned to the cases in Los Angeles. So I call him up. I said, hey, I got him. I'm going to put him on ice for a little bit until you guys get here. And he says, hey, I'm on my way. I'm in LA. I'll grab a flight right now. So we keep him in the jail for a little bit. The Secret Service shows up, and we go in to talk to him. And we read him his rights. And the Miranda rights isn't something you have to be read right when you get arrested. It's something that you get read when they're going to question you, not when you get first arrested. It's not like TV. So we read him his rights. And of course, he says, I'm not talking to you guys. I want a lawyer, as expected. So I said, all right, Eric, that's fine. And so we get ready to leave, and from talking to him, and he says to me, he turns to me, he goes, can I ask you something off the record, detective? I said, what's that, Eric? I said, he goes, off the record. I said, absolutely off the record. He goes, how did you find me? Well, I didn't want to let him know that we were scoping out all the gyms. So I just looked at him and said, well, anonymizer.com's not so anonymous now, is it? And he's like, crap. So needless to say, we ended up figuring out where Eric was living, went back in, got a whole bunch more computers to process, a bunch more hard drives to process. And the case goes on and on and on. I've got piles of evidence on Eric. But Eric's not dumb. He works with the court system, filing appeals and doing all this other good stuff. And he sits in the county jail for a very long time, quite frankly, longer than typical for almost any case. Finally, he takes his plea bargain and he goes to prison. One of the things about his prison sentence was that when he got paroled, he had the same kind of sanctions that a lot of the child predators have, where he was not allowed to have internet access. So when he got paroled, his parole officer called me and said, hey, what's up with this guy? And I told him, and he says, oh, okay. So every time he went over there, he would look for a Wi-Fi from Eric's house. And if Eric had Wi-Fi, Eric was going to go back to prison. So that was the last time I talked to Eric. I haven't seen Eric now in probably, it's been 10, 15 years since I popped him. And I don't think he likes me very much anymore. Things like anonymizer.com, these are what has evolved into the VPNs of today, which hides your internet protocol address. I can make myself look like I'm in Hong Kong. I can make myself look like I'm in the Netherlands. I can make myself look like I'm from anywhere. So the old idea of tracing IPs back to somebody's house is pretty much gone when it comes to these criminals anymore. And this is one of the big things that we face today in the reality of cyber forensics and cyber investigations, is the old tracing somebody's, there they are. No, that's not true anymore. It makes it difficult. It makes it extremely difficult. And, it's not like CSI Cyber or CSI at all, where a couple of keystrokes and, there's a map. Hey, the IP tracks to this address right here. Go get him, because it's going to track to a VPN and you're dead in the water right there. To serve a warrant on somebody, you have to have proof. And you have to have that proof for the judge. And the VPNs have taken a lot of that away from us. So that is the story of Eric Weinstein. Kind of an interesting case and a lot of fun if you're working it. Not so much fun for Eric. But be careful out there and understand that the reality of what we do in investigations is difficult. And it's getting more difficult by the day because technology is getting better and better.
To find out more about our worldwide cybersecurity solutions, please visit kivuconsulting.com.